At 82, I've learned a lot about life, but there's one decision I deeply regret: moving into a nursing home. At the time, it seemed like the right choice. My family encouraged it, promising that I'd have all the care and comfort I needed. I believed them. But once I got there, I realized that the reality was nothing like what I had imagined. I know many of you might be thinking about this option, whether for yourself or a loved one. Maybe you feel like it's the safest decision, or maybe you've been told it will make life easier. But before you take that step, I want to share 6 things I wish someone had told me before I moved in. Because the truth is, life in a nursing home isn't just about convenience. It changes everything. And once you go in, getting out isn't as simple as you think. Stay with me until the end, because some of these lessons might surprise you. And if you know someone considering a nursing home, this video might be exactly what they need to hear before making a life-changing decision. Now, let's get started. Regret. 1. Losing my independence. The biggest shock after moving into a nursing home wasn't the small room, the set meal times, or even the unfamiliar faces. It was the realization that I had lost control over my own life. Before I moved in, I had my routines. I decided when to wake up, when to eat, and how to spend my day. I could take a walk whenever I wanted, cook my own meals, or just sit quietly in my favorite chair with a book. But inside the nursing home, I quickly realized that my time was no longer my own. Everything ran on a schedule that wasn't mine. Breakfast was at a set time, even if I wasn't hungry. Lights out happened at a certain hour, whether I was ready or not. Want to take a walk outside? You might need permission, and you'll probably have to wait until someone is available to assist you. Simple decisions, like what to eat or even what to wear, started feeling like privileges instead of basic choices. I remember my first week there, waking up in a bed that didn't feel like mine. I sat up, stretched, and reached for the book I had been reading at home. But when I looked around the room, it hit me. This wasn't my home. My books, my favorite chair, the little comforts I had spent years collecting, were gone. In their place were sterile walls, a bed I didn't choose, and a feeling I couldn't shake. I was no longer in charge of my own life. The hardest part, realizing that once you give up your independence, getting it back is almost impossible. You adapt because you have to. You stop arguing when they tell you what's for dinner. You stop asking if you can go for a walk whenever you want. You learn to fit into their system, but in the process, you start losing yourself. If you're considering a nursing home, ask yourself, are you ready to give up the small freedoms that make life yours? Because once they're gone, you'll miss them more than you ever thought possible. Regret. 2. Feeling forgotten. One of the hardest truths about moving into a nursing home is realizing that the world outside keeps moving without you. When I first arrived, my family reassured me that they would visit often. I believed them, and in the beginning, they did. My daughter came by once a week. My grandchildren visited on weekends, and for a little while, it felt like I still had a connection to my old life. But as the months went by, the visits became less frequent. My daughter started calling instead of coming. My grandchildren got busy with school and work. Holidays were the hardest. Everyone promised they'd come, but somehow, plans always changed at the last minute. And suddenly, I found myself sitting alone in a common room, watching other residents stare at the door, hoping today would be the day someone remembered them. It wasn't that my family stopped loving me. Life just got in the way. When you're not around every day, it's easy for people to assume you're fine, that you're adjusting, that you don't need as much attention. But the truth is, the longer you're in a nursing home, the easier it is for people to forget just how much you still need them. I remember one evening, sitting in my room, holding my phone, debating whether to call my son. I didn't want to be a burden. I didn't want to remind him that I was here, waiting for a visit that might never come. So I put the phone down, and that's when it hit me. This was my life now. Watching the days go by, hoping someone would remember to include me. If you're thinking about moving into a nursing home, Ask yourself, are you prepared for the loneliness? Because no matter how much your family loves you, once you're out of sight, it's easier than you think to become out of mind. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Now, let's move forward. Regret. 3. Losing my sense of purpose. When I moved into the nursing home, I thought I was just changing where I lived. I didn't realize I was also changing why I lived. At home, I had responsibilities. I had routines, hobbies, and a reason to get up in the morning. Even the small things, watering the plants, making my own coffee, tidying up my space, gave me a sense of purpose. But in the nursing home, those daily rituals disappeared. Meals were made for me. Cleaning was done by someone else. The plants, well, they weren't mine to take care of anymore. At first I told myself it would be nice to finally relax. No more chores, no more responsibilities, just rest. But after a few weeks, I realized something was missing. The days felt long, stretched out with nothing to do but wait. I saw it in other residents too. People who had once been full of energy now spent their days sitting, staring, waiting for time to pass. There was a man named George, 84 years old, who had been a carpenter his entire life. At home, he was always fixing things, building little projects in his garage. But here, there were no tools, no projects, nothing for him to create. I watched as he slowly withdrew, his hands once strong and skilled, now idle in his lap. I feel useless, he told me one day, and I knew exactly what he meant. When you no longer have something to care for, something to work toward, life starts to lose its meaning. The mind slows down, the body follows, and soon, you start to feel like just another resident in a place where time moves, but nothing really changes. If you're considering a nursing home, ask yourself, what gives your life meaning? Because once you move in, finding purpose isn't as simple as filling your time. It's about fighting to hold on to the things that make you feel alive. Regret. 4. Declining health. Faster than expected. Before I moved into a nursing home, I was doing well for my age. I wasn't running marathons, but I could still take care of myself, go for walks, cook my own meals. I had my little routines that kept me moving, grocery shopping, stretching in the mornings, even just walking around the house to keep my legs strong. But once I moved in, everything changed. At first it seemed like I was just taking it easy. Meals were brought to me, and I no longer had to stand in the kitchen to cook. If I needed something, I could just push a button, and someone would come help. But what I didn't realize was that the less I did for myself, the weaker I became. I stopped moving as much, and soon, my legs felt stiffer. I sat more than I used to, and before I knew it, getting up from a chair started feeling like a chore. The muscles I had spent years maintaining were disappearing faster than I ever expected, and it wasn't just me. I saw it happen to others too. People who walked in on their own 2 feet were suddenly relying on wheelchairs. People who had once been independent now needed help with things they never struggled with before. The more help we were given, the more we seemed to need it. I remember my neighbor Alice, an 81-year-old woman, who was lively when she first arrived. She used to take daily walks around the facility, insisting that she wasn't going to slow down just because of a number. But after a few months, I noticed she wasn't walking as much. Then, she started using a walker, then a wheelchair. One day, she looked at me and said, "I don't know when it happened, but I feel like I aged 10 years in just a few months." And in a nursing home, where everything is designed to make things easier, it's easy to forget that movement isn't just about convenience, it's about surviving. If I had known how quickly I would lose my strength, I would have fought harder to keep moving, to stay active, to push myself even when I didn't feel like it. If you're considering a nursing home, ask yourself, Will you still have the motivation to keep your body strong when everything is set up to make life effortless? Because once you slow down, getting back up isn't as easy as you think. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any video. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's move forward. Regret. 5. The loss of privacy and dignity. One of the things I didn't fully consider before moving into a nursing home was just how much privacy I would lose. At home, I had my own space. I could close my bedroom door, sit in silence if I wanted, and do things on my own terms. But in a nursing home, privacy is a luxury you don't always get to keep. From the moment I arrived, I felt like I was constantly being watched. Staff coming in and out, scheduled room checks, and shared spaces where you're rarely alone. Even simple things like getting dressed or using the bathroom often required someone's assistance. I know they were just doing their job, but it's not easy to accept help for things you've done independently your entire life. I remember my first week struggling with the idea that I had to ask for permission to do things I once did without thinking. Want to take a shower? You might have to wait until someone is available to help. Need to use the restroom? Sometimes pressing the call button means waiting longer than you'd like. Even meal choices were limited. If you don't like what's on the menu that day, well, too bad. And then there was the issue of roommates. Not everyone gets a private room, and sharing a space with someone else, someone you didn't choose, can be frustrating. I was lucky to have a kind roommate, but I heard stories from others who weren't so fortunate. Some had roommates who were loud, unclean, or even had cognitive issues that made sleep nearly impossible. And no matter how much you try to make your room feel like home, it's never truly yours. Dignity is a hard thing to lose, and I didn't realize how much of mine I'd have to surrender until I was already there. When people knock but don't always wait for an answer before coming in. When you're spoken to like a patient instead of a person. When your daily routines are dictated by a schedule you didn't create, it changes you. You start feeling less like yourself and more like just another name on a list. If you're considering a nursing home, ask yourself, are you prepared to give up the privacy and control you've had your entire life? Because once it's gone, it's hard to get back. Regret. 6. Realizing it's harder to leave than you think. When I first moved into the nursing home, I told myself it was temporary. I thought I'd give it a try, see how things went, and if I didn't like it, I could always leave. But what I didn't realize was just how hard it would be to get out once I was in. My children had already started making changes, selling things they thought I wouldn't need, even considering renting out the place. When I brought up the idea of returning, they hesitated. Are you sure you can manage on your own? Wouldn't it be safer to stay? We just want what's best for you. And then there was the issue of physical decline. After months of living in a place where I didn't have to cook, clean, or even walk very far, I wasn't as strong as I used to be. The independence I once had started slipping away, making the idea of moving back home more difficult than I ever imagined. I wasn't as confident in my ability to live alone, and that fear kept me stuck. I met others who had the same experience. They thought they'd try the nursing home for a little while, only to realize that leaving wasn't as easy as they thought. The longer you stay, the harder it becomes to adjust to life outside. Some people even lost the option entirely, once their home was sold or their savings were drained by the cost of care. There was no going back. That's the part nobody tells you. Moving in feels like a decision you can reverse, but for most people it is. The nursing home slowly becomes your whole world, and before you know it, the outside life you once knew starts feeling like a distant memory. If you're considering a nursing home, ask yourself, are you prepared for the possibility that once you go in, leaving might not be as simple as you think? Because once you settle in, the barriers to leaving, whether financial, physical, or emotional, can be harder to overcome than you expect. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 6 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any video. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Final thoughts. Looking back, I don't regret growing older, but I do regret believing that a nursing home was my only option. I walked in expecting comfort, safety, and a better quality of life. What I found instead was a world that slowly took away my independence, my privacy, my purpose, and even my sense of self. Does that mean nursing homes are all bad? Not necessarily. Some people genuinely need the level of care they provide. But before you make that decision, think carefully about what you're giving up, because once you move in, life will never be the same. If I could do it over, I would have fought harder to stay in my own home, explored more ways to get help without giving up my freedom, and made sure I truly needed to be there before making such a permanent move. And if you're facing this decision, I hope you take the time to ask yourself, is this truly what's best for me, or is it just what seems easiest right now? Because the life you have today, your routines, your independence, your choices, is worth holding on to for as long as you can. Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts are important to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.